my name is Amanda, and this is only the 5th time that I've tried to make this video. It has been a process trying to get a good recorded video out there. I have for a long time wanted to make kind of my intro video before I decided what to do as far as my channel goes. But every time I went to make an intro video, I hated something about it. I hated how many deep breaths I took because I was nervous. I hated how many ums I took, which I still will probably do because I'm just an awkward human and that's how I work. I hated what I was wearing and what my makeup looked like, and I didn't have a great place in my home to film, and the lighting was terrible. So I was just making all these different excuses, and here we are. So I finally am recording my intro video. I don't have a great outfit on. My makeup doesn't look super great. My lighting is awful. That's something that's gonna have to be fixed in the near future. And I don't have a great place in my home to film. You know, I don't have one of those like fancy Pinterest worthy farmhouses. So I'm in my makeup room, which is what I call it. It's really just the spare bedroom, but I'm in my makeup room and here we are. So for the longest time, I've struggled with health and fitness and everything that goes along with that. I will start in the beginning to my journey as far as how I got to where I am now and what my challenges were, and pretty much the whole journey I'll kind of condense into this video. I think that the one person who actually, there's a lot of YouTubers that I've watched who were extremely, extremely inspiring to me, but the one who I felt like I relate to most as far as personality goes, as far as just her energy, I feel like she has really good energy and really good vibes, and her name, okay, most of you probably know who she is. Her name is Gabbie. She is a YouTuber. Recently, she started posting a lot about her weight loss journey. I mean, I think she looked amazing to begin with, but she just busted her butt to get where she is now. She looks so good. So she posted, I want to say, right now we're in January of 2019 where I'm filming this. But I want to say a few months ago, she posted a what I eat in a day video. And it wasn't as much, you know, what I eat in a day, something that I wanted to do. I wasn't watching it to get the inspiration of exactly how I wanted to follow her diet, but more so it was how I perceived her energy in that video. So I thought she had amazing energy. She was very positive and very motivating, and I just kept watching a lot of her fitness videos, and I really took to her videos and she inspired me. So I was like, you know what? Not only do I have this weight to lose and have this journey that I want to go on, but I think I want to do a vlog too. And whether thousands of people watch it or whether 2 people watch it, or even if it's just something that I can look back and watch myself and to see how I grew in my journey, I'm okay with that. So I've kind of been an inspiration to myself to do this vlog because it means a lot to me to share my journey with other people so that they can maybe or hopefully connect to my struggles, because I found so much comfort in connecting to other people and that they've gone through the same things that I have. So that's my reason for making this vlog. Now I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my fitness journey and my weight loss journey and how I got to this point. And like I said, I'm 24 and it is January 2019 when I'm filming this. So my whole life growing up, I wasn't overweight. I was just a bigger boned kid. I've always been very tall for my age. I always had, you know, I was a chunky kid. I wasn't a super heavy kid by any means, but I was chunky and I did get bullied for it just because a lot of the friends that I had as a kid were just very thin and they just had that perfect, you know, the perfect childhood thin active body, and I just never had that. A lot of it had to do with genetics, a lot of it had to do with how I ate as a child, and a lot of it did have to do with my height and how I was actually built. So, like I said, as a kid, I was never like the super athletic, super fit kid. But I wasn't obese. I wasn't an obese child. I did get bullied a lot though, which I look back at it and it really eventually took a toll on me, and I got really, really upset about it all. And there was no reason for it. I was fine, and kids just are mean. Kids can be really, really mean. So I wish I could say it was something that I just overcame and it didn't affect me at all, and all the girls that were making fun of me didn't affect me, and all the boys that made fun of me, it did affect me. It over time had a big impact on a lot of my mental state. So I think by the time I hit, I want to say 8th grade, I did start becoming overweight. And I didn't want to admit it. I didn't really want to notice it. But of course, I didn't have to, because so many other kids noticed it for me and bullied me a lot for it. It was pretty unfortunate, but as time went on, you know, just as childhood friends, people just grow apart in general. And I think it was in the summer of 7th grade, my best friend of like my whole life and I got in this huge fight over something absolutely ridiculous. I can't even to this day remember specifically what it was, just whatever 12-year-olds fight about. And we grew apart, and I lost her as a friend. And my home life was just getting progressively worse and worse and worse. And I didn't really have any other friends. And I fell into depression for the first time when I was about 12 or 13 years old. Depression and anxiety are genetic. You know, some people can develop it even if it's not in your family. But for me, they are a genetic factor. So when all this bad stuff was happening to me as a 12, 13-year-old girl who was going through a lot of changes in her body and who was getting bullied for the way she looked like, it did nothing solved it, and I just kept gaining weight. And I remember, I can't recall ever worrying about what I weighed when I was a kid. As far as like 5th grade to 8th grade, I don't remember weighing myself. I don't remember caring what I weighed. And my parents, like, they never said anything to me about any of it. But I remember for going into high school, so going into 9th grade, we had to get a physical. Just because we had to get certain shots to go into high school, we had to just have this whole brand new physical, which I don't think I had in a while for some reason. I think you're supposed to have them every year, but for some reason I hadn't had one in a while, or I just don't remember having one in a while. And I remember it was so traumatizing for me because I hated doctors in general. I had my tonsils taken out like a year or two before, and I just don't like needles. I didn't like doctors. It wasn't working for me. So I had to go to this physical, and the doctor was great. The nurse, not so much. So I was, again, so going into 9th grade, I was 14 years old. And when she weighed me, she was, I guess, so taken back by how much I weighed at 14 that she had to, of course, make a comment about it. So, and I very clearly remember this. She was so nasty. I can't tell you what she looks like or what her name is, but it stuck with me. That was over 10 years ago, and it stuck with me. She was like, wow, I can't believe you weigh so much. Why? And I never, up until that point, yes, I was bullied, but I never really thought of myself as like weighing so much or being like this super heavy kid. And this nurse was just awful. Like, you don't ever say that to any patient, let alone a 14-year-old child. And I wish I could go back and just hug poor 14-year-old Amanda and just tell that nurse where to go, because it just traumatized me. And I was heavy. I was technically, I believe on the BMI terms, I was obese. Like I said, I was going through a really hard time, and we had no control over, I mean, obviously everybody has control, but my family, my home eating habits were awful. My parents did not know how to eat. They didn't cook. Everything was fast food or frozen food, and it was just awful and disgusting food. But I didn't know any better. That's all I knew. I didn't, you know, even when I went over my friend's house, that's all I knew was what was at home. So that was kind of the instigating moment where I really fell into a horrible, horrible mental state. That year, I was in the worst mental state I've ever been in up until that point, of course. Excuse the lighter in my hand, I was lighting candles. But I had never felt what I was feeling. I didn't at the time know it was depression. I just felt like I was just overwhelmed with life at 14, and I was. And I was going through some hard stuff that no 14-year-old should have to go through. That year, I ended up actually getting pulled out of school, and my mother did homeschool me. Got bullied. I got attacked at school, which is a whole other story for a very, very, very future day. And it was awful. That next year, 10th grade, I did meet somebody. I made my first real friend in years. The only person that I hung out with was my sister. And I met my best friend, Leah, when I was 15. So this was 2010. And I've never spoken kind of outwardly about this, but she kind of saved my life. I really did not have, I'm going to get emotional. I really did not have friends up until that point besides my sister. And when Leah and I became friends, it was just like this new chapter of my life, and we did so much, and we had all these adventures. And then we met our other friend Rachel, and it was the three of us against the world. And the rest of my high school days were just really, really good because of them. I owe my mental state throughout the rest of high school to Leah and Rachel, and I want to tell them that. I hope they watch this video someday, because they helped me more than they can imagine. Between my inner demons, my mental battle that I was going through, and everything that was happening at home, they were my escape, and I owe them forever for that. So, of course, during high school, during those few years, I kind of held steady at the same weight. Well, not a good weight, but I kind of held steady at that obese mark from, 9th grade to when I graduated in 2012. And it wasn't healthy, but I didn't, those last couple of years, I didn't really feel like it took so much of a toll on me, because I was just distracted by other things, by my friends and by school and all the adventures we were going on and everything. So I think the next kind of instigating moment was college. When I entered college, I feel like my friends and I getting in fights is this kind of instigator that always sends me into a deep spiraling depression. But Leah and Rachel and we got in this big fight about, it's a very long story. It's kind of personal too, so that's not something I might share with you guys, but you never know. You never know what kind of story times I might tell in the future. But we got in this fight, and Leah actually went and lived out of the country for a few months, so we kind of lost touch, and it was very hard on me. And so going into college, I didn't, once again, have any friends. So I fell into a deeper depression. So between the years of like 2013 to 2014, that was kind of my worst. At that point, that was my worst. And I say that because my parents got divorced in 2014. That was the most horrible experience that I've been through, just because there was a lot of surrounding circumstances to what happened, and it's very, very stressful. So that took a toll on me. And then I didn't have very many friends. That took a toll on me. So it was hard. It was hard, and I ate, to escape it. And I shouldn't have done that, but I did. I ate to escape it, and I just kept gaining and gaining and gaining. The only friendships I developed, I had these two guys in my classes in college. One of them, his name was Jimmy. His name is Jimmy. His name did not change. I met him, so we had our first class, my first ever college class I had with Jimmy, and so this is 2012, I was 18, and I developed the biggest, crush on him. I had crushes throughout high school. All the boys at church I had crushes on. Leah and I went to the same church, but So I had developed the biggest crush on him, and he was just funny and outgoing, and he was just so charming. In my mind, he was just so charming. So I had this big crush on him, and then Leah and I were still friends at that point. So ironically, it's again another long story for another time, but I think it was the summer of 2013. I had texted him and confessed my feelings for him. Of course, he didn't have any feelings back. I don't say that like I didn't deserve to be crushed on. Like, I was cute, I was heavy, but I was cute, and I have a rockin' personality, if I do say so myself. But I basically told him, I was like, oh yeah, I have a crush on you, and he was just like, oh, okay, that's great. And it obviously nothing came from that, thankfully, and I don't mean that in a rude way, but we actually developed a really strong friendship out of that moment. So he actually became my best friend, and we have been best friends for over 7 years now. You know, we haven't lost touch. We talk pretty much every single day. He lives in California now, so me in New York, it is hard. We don't see each other very often, like maybe once a year, but we keep in touch. He's kind of, you know, besides my boyfriend, and I am still friends with Leah now, but he is my rock in a way. We relate to each other a lot. He goes through a lot of the same struggles that I go through. So he's somebody that I can pretty much tell everything to unbiasedly. So it's good to have somebody like that in your life. He's kind of like a mirrored male version of myself in a way. So he became my friend, and he really helped me through the next couple years. So by 2015, my family actually moved to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And I was still in New York. I was still going to college, and I was at my highest weight. I did weigh myself that year because I didn't want to, but I was having some health issues in the beginning of 2015. So I went to the hospital, and they weighed me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just couldn't believe how bad it had gotten. So once my family moved away, I was horribly depressed. And when Leah and I at the time were not friends. So when I say that Jimmy was the only person I had to talk to, I mean that wholeheartedly. He was my rock that year. I would have fallen apart if I didn't have him as a friend. So like I said, I experienced and was aware of depression for the first time that year. And I was at my highest weight. Not only was I extremely overweight, but I had developed cystic acne, and I had always had bad skin. My whole life I've had bad skin. But because of my eating habits, I had cystic, like my entire face was covered, like red, deep acne. And I would cry. I would literally spend nights crying about it. It was terrible. My skin over time has cleared up. I think that has a lot to do with like hormones, and I of course take better care of my skin now, but you probably won't be able to see in this light. You can see all these scars here. Those are from my cystic acne. They are still a huge insecurity of mine, but you know, sometimes your scars just show what you've been through. So I'm working through that. Even though they're a big insecurity, I have them, and they're there, and nothing I can do about it. But so I think it was May of that year, so May of 2015, that I actually decided to take action and take control of my weight. So the first thing I did was look for a diet, and that's all I knew at the time. You know, everybody in my family has been, my dad not included, but my mother and her side of the family, we just have bad genes and bad eating habits, and we're all overweight. So my whole family over time had tried different ways to lose weight. So growing up, my mom always did Slim Fast, or they did Atkins, or they always tried something to lose weight. So at 2015, I was 20. It was 20. That makes sense. So I was 20 in 2015, and the only way I could think of to lose weight was to do a fad diet. So I looked them up, and the one I came up with was the Dr. Oz 2-week rapid weight loss program. I found it on Pinterest, and I was watching YouTube videos on it and people's success on it, and I decided that's what I'm gonna go for. And now this diet, I'm not gonna get too into it, and I'll tell you why later, but this diet, you don't eat very much. It's a very, very low calorie diet. It's hummus and broth and protein smoothie and vegetables. It's not by any means anything that anybody would want to do willingly, but it's what I did. I did it for 2 weeks and I stuck to it, which I was very proud of, and I lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks. And some people would be like, oh wow, that's a lot. Like, how did you do that? Or why did you lose so much? I had a lot to lose, so that was actually probably pretty reasonable. So that summer, I ended up following my family and I moved down to South Carolina as well. Now, the first couple years, or the first year actually, I had a pretty healthy lifestyle. I had all this newfound energy from losing those 15 pounds. So for a long time, I was eating gluten-free and dairy-free and sugar-free, and I was more active and going out a lot and having just the time of my life down there. I would say that the summer to fall of 2015 was probably one of the best times of my life, easily, to date still. It was just great. I fell in love for the first time. I was traveling a lot. I was going to the beach and out to restaurants, and it was just a really good time for myself. 2016, again, this is where it gets dark, really dark, but I will in the future tell an entire story about 2016 and what happened to me and how I fell apart. It was very, 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 very bad. But I continued to lose weight that year, and I did it through different ways. Being healthy was one of them. At the end of the year, I just didn't eat. I did develop for a few, I don't want to say this incorrectly because I was never diagnosed with it, but there were a few weeks where I didn't eat. And if I did eat, it was a piece of bread or an apple or a piece of pineapple. I just didn't eat. So I developed this eating disorder for, I would say, a good solid month. And I was at my lowest I'd been since I was 12 years old. I looked really good in my mind, though. I was very thin and I felt like I was getting so much more attention from guys, which at 22 years old, that's all I was interested in. I was stupid. I don't know what else to say. So I felt really good, and I started dating a lot, too much, and I let myself go again because although I physically was in a good place at that time, I was mentally in the worst place of my life. I was in this horrible, horrible masked depression, and it just kept gaining and gaining and gaining and gaining. I eventually had to leave South Carolina and I moved back to New York. This was in early 2017. And sorry, this story is turning out to be a lot longer than I thought it would be. I moved back to New York in early 2017, and I was back up to around the same weight I was when I started high school. So I was heavy again, but I don't think I cared. I wasn't in a good mental spot. I wasn't acknowledging any of it. By the summer, I would say spring of 2017, I met my boyfriend, who I am still with to this day. And, I hear a lot of people say, in your first year of your relationship or your first year of college or anytime you have this first year of something, you gain like 15 pounds. I did. So we've been together almost 2 years now. So in the first year and a half, I gained like 15, 20 pounds. So I was back up to my highest weight. I'm actually highest I've ever been, even higher than back in 2015. So it's been hard. It's been taking a toll on me a lot. But I am ready to I want to get back not only to that weight I was at at my lowest weight, but because it was my lowest point, I wasn't in a mentally good state, and I am now for the most part. So I want to not only get back to that like really healthy weight, even lower if possible, but I want to get there when I'm in a good mental state, because I think from then on I will be able to progress in a really healthy way. So that brings us here. That is my very condensed but not so condensed version of my health and my journey and everything as far as that goes. I am here and I am trying, and I'm gonna do it this time. So 2019 is my year. Now, the way that I'm going to lose weight this year, a lot of people are not going to agree with, and I'm going to explain a little bit why I chose to do it this way as opposed to other ways. So the reason that first of all, let's start with the way I'm going to lose weight. I have a 44-week weight loss journey as far as how long it's going to take for me to reach my goal of, I'd like to ideally be between 165 and 175. That would be a healthy spot for me for my height. So 44 weeks, I should be able to get there. So by November of this year. Now, the way I'm going to do it, a lot of people are not going to agree with. I am going to take those 44 weeks, divide them into 4 weeks, and do a fad diet for 4 weeks at a time. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because fad dieting is something that so many people resort to. That's what they go to when they're trying to lose weight. Like, there's so much about it in the media. You can't go on TV without looking at Weight Watchers commercials or Nutrisystem commercials or Jenny Craig commercials. You can't go on Instagram and not see a post from a celebrity about some waistband trainer or some fit detox tea or some magic pill that's going to help them burn carbs. And I'm doing it because I want to show people what these fad diets do to a person. I'm not saying that they're all going to do bad things. I'm just saying that they might do bad things. You know, we have a lot of people who get sick off of certain diets. We have a lot of people that have bad health effects. They gain weight back right away, and some of them work out really, really well for people. I have a lot of people in my life who found a lot of success with certain diets. I've seen a lot of people who have had success with Weight Watchers, a lot of people who have had success with keto. So I'm going to try each of these diets, and I will give you a list, but I will try them for 4 weeks at a time. And now, me doing that is going to give enough time for me to see how it affects my body, if I lose weight, if I gain weight, if I don't change my weight at all, how my mood is affected by it, how my mental state is affected by it, and just overall how I feel throughout each 4-week diet. I think it will also be a good reference. Of course, everybody's body is different, so everybody's going to react different to different diets, but I'm going to just give people a reference to see how it affected me, and maybe that can help them choose what will be best for them. So on top of doing, 4 weeks for each of these diets, actually there's 2 2-week ones, but in these time intervals, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week so I can keep it consistent, because I know myself. I know that if I aim to do 4 to 5 days a week at the gym, it's not going to happen so I need to keep some consistency there. So, 1 to 2 days is not going to be enough. So we're going to go 3 days a week to the gym consistently for every single week for the next 44 weeks. And I'm not going to let myself fail on that, just because I do want to keep that as a constant in this experiment. So now I'm going to give you the list of the 11 different diets that I'm going to be trying. So, and this is not in any specific order. I haven't actually determined what order I'm going to be trying these out in will be, but here we go. So, calorie counting, Weight Watchers, keto, Atkins, Jenny Craig, Nutrisystem, the Tom Brady alkaline diet, which I haven't done enough research on yet, but that's going to be in there, Whole30, 21-day fix, and then the 2 2-week ones are going to be the Special K challenge and the Dr. Oz 2-week rapid weight loss challenge, which I have tried before. Another one I may add in if I do want to do some extra weeks, because there will be some more weeks in the year, I might do Slim Fast as well. Now, I'm going to try each of these diets for the set amount of time and see how they affect my body, see if I lose weight, and just overall experiment with these so that other people don't have to. Because in my experience, one of the fad ones that I have tried before, which I am nervous to try again, was I tried keto. Keto made me very, very sick. I got very ill. Every day I felt sick to my stomach. My period was thrown off. I had my period for 2 months straight, which was not healthy at all. It made me feel extremely sick. So I am kind of nervous to put that one in here, but I do kind of want to see where it, or how it affects my body, again, trying it for a second time. And I also think it's important to show people how it affects my body, because maybe they won't want to try it, or maybe they will want to try it. So that's kind of the list of everything that I'm going to be doing. The first one that I'm going to be trying, I am positive of, and that's going to be calorie counting. So that's number one, and I started today with that, and I did go to the gym today. So determining calorie counting, you have to eat a certain amount of calories a day in order to lose weight. So there's a couple ways you can determine this. You can go to an app and they'll automatically calculate it for you. MyFitnessPal is one of the popular ones. I love that app. It is a great way to track food. And according to MyFitnessPal, in order to lose weight the way that I want to, they say I should eat 1,860 calories a day. I have tried other ways of calculating this as well. So there are 2 equations that you can try to calculate your how much of a calorie deficit you need. So the first one, and please forgive me if I butcher these names, but the Harris-Benedict formula, and I will link some links in the description box so that people can follow and see if they want to try this challenge out with me at the same time, or if they want to calculate how many calories they might need. So basically with the formula, it determines your BMR, and the Harris-Benedict one determined my BMR to be 2,033 calories. The other one is the Mifflin St. Jeor. I am 110% butchering that name. I will link that one as well. And that one said my BMR was 2,064 calories. So of course you're supposed to have a deficit from this number between 500 and 1,000 calories, depending on how much weight you actually want to lose. But the important thing before you subtract this deficit is that you do have to multiply by a certain number based on how much you're going to be exercising throughout the week. So I multiplied both numbers by 1.375 because I plan on working out 3 days a week. So the Harris-Benedict formula determined that my calories should be anywhere between 1795 and 2295. The other formula determined between 1838 and 2338 calories. So the average number there was kind of 2,066 calories in order for me to lose weight every week. So I'm going to, I do track my food daily in the MyFitnessPal app, which is giving me the limit of 1,860 calories. If I do go up a little bit over, anywhere up to 2,300 calories, I'm comfortable with that, because you just don't know how each day is going to go, how each week's going to go. I'm not pushing myself to kill myself, you know. I want to do this healthy, and I want to do it slow and steady. So I'll be comfortable at those numbers there. Now, there are a few cons of the calorie counting method of losing weight. One of them is that you can't really determine food measurements extremely accurately. If you're not sitting there and specifically measuring every single food you're intaking to make sure it's the exact portion, there's going to be some kind of variation there in calories. And your metabolic rate varies depending on your hormones, depending on how much you're working out. So there are some factors in why it may not work, but I'm going to try it anyway. Now, I did visit a few different sources, and some tips that might help people succeed is to use an app, of course. My recommendation is MyFitnessPal. I've had a lot of success in the past with that app, so I'm going to stick to that one. Slow and steady wins the race with this diet. Don't push yourself too hard. So I'm taking this slow and steady. I'm not going to give myself a ridiculous calorie deficit. And then again, this goes hand in hand with that, but don't aim so low, because if you aim for a super, super huge calorie deficit, you are not going to feel healthy enough to exercise. And exercise is a big part of this as well. So I don't want to eat too little and then not have enough energy to exercise. So that's why I'm going to give myself a little bit of a broader range as far as my calories. So that's pretty much my intro, who I am, a long, long story about my journey and what this journey is going to be. So like I said, I'm starting with calorie counting. I will next week possibly update you with a list of, in order, which diets I'm going to do every 4 weeks. Don't know about the next one yet at all. So that's going to be something I have to think about. But what I plan on doing is every week I'm going to update with a vlog. It's pretty much going to be how I'm feeling, if I've lost any weight that week, if I feel sick, if I feel more energized, just kind of giving a week by week update to each diet so that people can see how it affected my body along the way. And that's about it. Finally filmed this video. I'm happy with it. I probably rambled a lot. It wasn't perfect. It was long. It's going to be long and I apologize, but I finally filmed it and I'm happy with it and I'm ready to upload and start this journey. So a couple of things, if you do somehow find this video, I would love if you subscribed first and foremost and liked this video if you did like it. Please do not leave any hate in the comments. This is a positive channel, a positive place. Do not leave hate comments because I will not stand for that. I don't think that anybody needs to hear any kind of negativity in their life and I don't want to hear it myself. So if you do that, I will block you, I will delete it, and you can leave. Secondly, I would love people to comment or even private message me their stories, especially if you've tried this calorie counting diet. I would love to hear how you had success in it. I would love to hear how you failed in it if you did. That way I can share your story in my future videos so that people have some more references as far as this diet goes. I also have an Instagram. I will link my Instagram below. It's going to be just kind of random update progress pictures or gym pictures, just to kind of have another space to see how I progress over time. So I will link my Instagram in the description below as well. So it was nice to speak to everybody finally and get this uploaded and ready to go. My name is Amanda and I hope you liked this video. Bye.